Hey guys, in this video I want to take you through a practical example of doing YouTube keyword research to come up with video ideas and to find great keywords that you can then use to rank for and improve your YouTube SEO. Alright, so in the previous lessons we've gone over keywords, finding keywords and so on, and in this video I want to try and put it all together and show you how you can create a list of videos that you can create that with mid to long tail keywords that have good probability of ranking well and getting views to your channel. All right, so I have a Microsoft document open here, Microsoft Word document open. You can use a pen and paper. You can use another any other type of document if you'd like. A Google document may also be good because you can then add any ideas on the go, but I'm going to use this Microsoft document for the purpose of this video, and we can actually just get straight into it. So let's say, for example, I have a photography channel. All right, so the first thing that I would do if I'm looking for some video ideas and I want to get keywords for these video ideas, I want to first look for what are people searching for relating around my ideas. So I want to talk about photography. I want to make videos maybe on a specific camera, and I want to maybe make a few tutorials. So we can go and then give in those main head keywords, photography, and then we can go with whichever camera I may have. So let's just go with a Sony Sony A6000, and then maybe also a Sony A7 Mark II, and then we can go with photography tutorials, and then we'll just get another keyword in here, maybe something like smartphone photography. Alright, so we've got 5 little sub niches here, or we've got the main niche and then we've got 4 sub niches here on different topics that we want to talk about. So these are the head keywords. These we'll sort of come up with ourselves based on whichever niche we have. Alright, so let me just space these out. And then let me just go and make this. Where is that option for columns? Make this a 2-column page so that we can see everything. No, we can leave it on like that for now. And then I'm just going to make these main head keywords here bold, so that we can differentiate them from the keywords that we're going to now go and find on YouTube, and by using these tools that we've spoken about before. Alright, so I'm here on YouTube. I've already got photography in there. I'm just going to type that into the search bar and see what comes up. Alright, so if we look on the side here, we've got TubeBuddy Search Explorer. I've got VidIQ extension as well, but I've minimized that because I prefer the TubeBuddy one for this particular purpose. And now we've got some related searches here. There's also the free version. I've decided to use the free version for this tutorial. You'll see that you can get more options with the paid version. Now we've got 3 different keywords here that we can get some ideas for. So photography for beginners, photography tips, and photography hacks. So I'll just write all 3 of those down. Okay, so these are also still quite competitive terms. Photography for beginners, photography hacks, and what is the other one? Photography tips. And the other tip was, or the other keyword was, photography tips. Alright, so we've gotten some keywords from TubeBuddy there. If we go and type, if we just select this without putting a space in, so we'll get different categories here on what type of photography people are searching for. So now we can see portrait photography, wildlife photography, street photography, landscape photography, and iPhone photography. So let's say we're not going out and about, we're in a city or so, so then street photography, portrait photography, and iPhone photography may be the most appropriately fitting terms. So under smartphone photography, I'll just go and add in iPhone photography, and then under the photography one we can go and add street photography, and then the other one was portrait photography. All right, so these are all terms that I would be interested in making a video about, and then we're going to go into further detail in and getting mid to long tail keywords about those specific keywords. All right, so let's just add a space here and see what Google auto fills here, and there we go. So photography tutorials for beginners, we can add that under photography tutorials. That's another decent mid-tail keyword. And then we can go with photography ideas, tips and tricks, basics, and composition. All right, so let's go with, under tutorials, we can go with photography basics. And then if we go back to photography, we can, okay, that's photography tips and tricks we can add over here. Just a bit more detailed in that specific keyword. And then the other one was photography ideas. So we can add that in there. All right, so you can do this with whichever niche you're in and sort of go look into more detail on these specific keywords. All right, so we've got a few keywords on photography. Let's go and look at what people are searching for regarding the Sony a6000, or let's go and look at what camera in particular people are looking for. Okay, so we can go with the a6500 or the a7 Mark III, but this would be dependent on which camera you may have. So let's say I only have the a6000. All right, so this is quite an old camera, but we can still see if people are looking for this camera. So let me go and search for that, and we can see that 9 months ago, 10 months ago, 2 months ago, so there are still people that are interested in this camera. We've got here, is it still worth it in 2019? And that video is actually done very well for this channel. You can see that with the VidIQ extension. This channel has 2,000 subscribers and they've got 46,000 views. So that just tells me that yes, this is still a search term we can go and look for. All right, so that's a review. So we'll just go and type in Sony a6000 review. And we can add that date in as well, a6000 review 2019. We're currently in November, so we might just put a brackets in here in 2020 in case we make that video in a few weeks time and it's not as urgent as other videos. So we can just add that in there. And now we can look here on the YouTube suggested, what YouTube is let's just go back and see what are people looking for regarding the a6000. So we got tutorials, video test, cinematic video, and photography in 2019. So we can go and type in Sony a6000 in 2019, and now these two keywords here, the Sony review 2019, let's just get rid of that 2020 for now. Actually, I think that this video would have some urgency because it is quite an old camera and you want to capitalize on the views while we still can. All right, so Sony a6000 in 2019 and Sony a6000 review 2019. We can use that in one, or all three of these keywords we can use in one video. All right, so these are all quite competitive keywords most likely. So let's go and just look quickly at where is that in 2019. It's missing. Okay, well, let's just type it in and let's just see how competitive this keyword is. So we've got orange, which isn't quite the best. So let's go and say review in 2019. And now we've got orange and green, so that's good. When it comes to the TubeBuddy keyword score, I like to have at least one orange and one yellow plus. So one must be in orange and the other one should be in the yellow. So either your orange and their yellow plus, or your orange and your yellow plus. It can also mean that it's two yellows or two greens, or the further these arrows are to the right, the better. But at least one of them has to be this red line here is the boundary that it shouldn't go to the left of for either of these arrows. All right, so we can see that this is actually a good keyword. So we can go back to our main keyword here and then just put in a bullet point so that we know that this is a mid to long tail keyword that we can actually use as our main keyword. All right, and I'm just going to highlight this as well so that we know that that is a good keyword and that can be one of the main keywords that one of our videos would go on. All right, so now, but we're still looking for some general ideas. We just stumbled upon a good keyword for that, so we can just make a note of that so we don't forget it, and then continue looking for some more ideas around making videos regarding the Sony a6000. All right, so let's go back, and we can see unboxing. That may be something that's quite an older camera, so unboxing may not quite be there, but let's have a look at it anyway. Well, we've got a 8 months ago, 5 years, 2 months ago. Well, you can see the difference here in the number of subscribers and the views to subscriber ratio. And this one's 5 years ago, so that's why this channel's got a low subscriber count, but a good amount of video views, because that's gained that over the 5 years. So this is a good video. Would have been a good video to make 5 years ago, because you could then have gotten the views, but because this camera is already 5 years old, or older than that actually probably, that no one is watching these unboxing videos currently because people already have seen what you get. And we can look over here in keyword score and you can see the competition. There's too much competition. People are still searching for it, so we might go unboxing 2019 and look at what people come up with there. But if we see what the results are, what people are actually getting regarding this. So here's a very small channel with an unboxing 2019, and that could be a decent. If you've got a very small channel, this could be something worth going after, because all of these channels that are doing the unboxing are getting more views than their subscriber count. And that's all, and those are here in the last year. All right. And you can see people aren't very happy with how they've done their unboxing. So we can add that as a tentative idea, but we most likely won't be going after it. All right. And then we can go back and look at some things that people are looking for. So let's go and look here. We've got tutorial maybe. What do we have in terms of tutorial? And so this is something that people are looking for. It's got a decent first search volume. Competition's not too high. So let's go and add Sony a6000 tutorial. And then I think I saw Sony a6000 lenses. Top 5 favorite Sony a6000 lenses. Got Arthur Arvio busy dominating the top 2 results. We've got another person of view with okay, those ones aren't performing quite as well as the top 2 videos, but there is good possibility of getting views. But these are quite 23,000 subscribers, 120,000, 96,000. So there's a good amount of competition, but there's enough search volume. So let's maybe scroll down and see what people are, if there are any smaller channels here that are getting views as well. So we've got 18,000 subscribers, but that was 3 years ago. We've got one that was made in the last year, so that's not too bad, 25,000 subscribers. And we've got one here that doesn't have a subscriber count, but has 1.4 thousand views in the last 2 days. And that's not even for the correct camera, so never mind that. Let's go and filter this out for the last month, for example. All right. Now we can see here that we've got some. Okay, so here we've got a kit lens, and we've got a very small channel, but they're getting views with that. So we can see with some of these videos that if you optimize them well, then you can get views, even for such an old camera in 2019. So let's go and add lenses there. That could be another option that we want to go over, maybe the best lenses. we can go and look at what they have here. So let's go and we can dive into these a bit more. Lenses for portraiture. Best budget portrait lens for Sony E-mount. Alright. APS-C prime lenses. And okay, so there are some larger channels in the 100 to 400,000 subscriber range busy making videos about this content, so that could be a bit more difficult to rank for if they haven't optimized their the search volume alone is not that high, because there aren't actually, if I look here, it's not exact search terms, and it's giving us some things that may be related to it. So we've got your Sony E and MFT, so micro four thirds, that's not in the same system, and that's a Sigma lens, and we've got budget portrait lens for Sony E mount. So it's not quite what we were looking for, but I think budget is something that we see pop up quite a bit here. So let's go and type in, well, let's look here if we have something like budget. Whoops, we had it pop up there. Best budget lenses for Sony a6000. Let's go with the first top one first. Maybe copy that because I think this might be a good keyword. Okay, so search volume's a bit low there. So then let's go and just change this again. Budget. Best budget lenses for Sony a6000. Those may also be. Alright, so there we've got a keyword that fits the criteria I mentioned. Enough search volume and not too competitive for us to not quite rank well for that. So that's a good option for lenses. So we can also make that with a bullet point and highlight that in terms of a keyword, as a keyword. Alright. And we can then look for some more videos relating around the A6000. We've got 1, 2, possibly 1 or 2 videos there, 3, and then 4 videos that we can make a video about here. But we can then continue and look for some more if we would like to do that. So let's just look quickly at what other words are coming out here. So we've got some comparisons. We can maybe then compare that with the Sony A7 Mark II that appears over there. Alright, and we can see that people were looking for, have been looking for this video in the last year. We have a small channel again here with 37,000 views. And that's R2, not the exact one. But our keyword scores are good here, so this is something that we can also look into. I'll just leave it over here under the A6000 marker, because we can go and look at some topics now on the Sony A7 Mark II. And let's just see what are people looking for here in 2019. So we've got that again here in 2019. This was 4 months ago, 86,000 views. Alright, what else do we have here? The A7 III Mark versus A7 II. So we have this long-term review here, which has gotten an alright amount of views for the channel size. So let's just go and look at what options we have here. So let's go and in 2019. So for these older cameras, the date seems to give us something that we should be going after. There's not that much search volume for this in 2019, so let's go with review and see if this is something we can go for. And the search volume is not good enough for the competition, or TubeBuddy has an error there, because that does not seem quite accurate. Let's go with 2019. Alright, so that one seems to be fair, but A7 Mark II worth it in 2019, And we can see 7 months ago, 800 subscribers, 78,000 views. So that is something made within the last year, and that's from an A7 Mark III user. So that could be a keyword that's helping this rank the newer model camera name inside of the tag there. So we could compare it to the A7 Mark III if you would need that in 2019 and make a video regarding that. We've got here that long-term review. We have the 6 months later. So we have the reviews here of this camera in 2019, but in order to get the best results, we might want to compare it with the newer model, or with maybe a newer model APS-C camera or similar priced camera. So let's go and just type in that keyword that we found there. So a Sony A7 Mark II review in 2019, and then just put a brackets here, compare to newer camera, or to new model, so that we know what we are referring to when we get about to making that particular video. Alright, so that's not the exact keyword that we found for that yet, that's just the rough video idea. Alright, so let's go and look at what other Sony A7 Mark II. We can look at the unboxing, or people still interested in unboxing videos of the A7 Mark II. Got another small channel with 10,000 views in that video, and here's another small channel subscriber with more views than subscriber count. And you can see I'm going past these larger channels like Digital Goja and Turn On Unboxing, because these are channels that are larger, and this video was made 2 and 4 years ago, so it could be that when this video was made, this was actually a good view count for them, and they've made new content now, and people are looking at the newer videos rather than their older videos on the A7 Mark II, because they've made videos most likely on the A7 Mark III and the A7R4 and the later updates. So you can see I'll just skip past those and look at what videos have been made recently, and ones with smaller subscriber base, because they seem to be the ones targeting this older camera, because it's a bit of a cheaper entry point to the market. Okay, and we can see here, okay, that's a 4-year-old channel, a video, and we've got 4 months here, unboxing camera, and that's in, okay, I don't know what language that is, but it's not in English. So is it worth it in 2019? Unboxing review. So we can just add an unboxing possibly in the if we make one video of this. As well. Okay, so let's look at some practical videos. What can we do with this camera? Right, so we can look at lenses, like I mentioned like we went through in the other one. But what tutorials or do people want to see? Settings tutorial, time-lapse tutorial. Let's go look at settings tutorial. That is an idea we can go through. Let's just copy that in. All right, settings tutorial. Let's go for video tutorial, time-lapse tutorial, focus tutorial. So Sony A7 Mark II focus tutorial, and then Sony A7 Mark II time-lapse tutorial, and then what is the other one that we had? Did we have another one? Sony Alpha A7 tutorial, Mark II tutorial, video tutorial, I think it was, yes. Sony A7 Mark II tutorial, video. Alright, and now these are all related around this one specific type of camera, these videos as well, about that specific topic. So if we make these videos, if we have, let's say we have 5 videos here, it'll be very likely that if someone watches one of these videos, the remaining videos will be strongly linked to that particular video, that YouTube will then suggest these other videos to them on their homepage when they're watching other videos in the suggested bar of this particular video or that particular video, whichever video they're currently watching. And if they subscribe to your channel, then it'll be even more likely that YouTube will suggest multiple videos of your related around these specific topics to them on their homepage when they enter YouTube, or when they finished watching other videos. Okay, so we have a decent amount of ideas for Sony A7 Mark II. We can go and look at some photography tutorials. Look at what are people searching for. So that's why we're using the search bar, just to give us an idea of what are people searching for. Photography tutorials for beginners, Sony A6000. So that's a long tail keyword. Before we copy that in, let's see if people are looking for it. They are. So that we can copy right in, and that'll fit right around the Sony A6000 category as well. So we're linking our little sub niches here. We've got tutorials, we've got A6000 camera, we've got reviews, we have photography tips. We're linking everything here together very nicely. All right, so what else can we find here in terms of tutorials? We have for advanced, for beginners, composition, photography tutorials, composition. So we'll write that down, and then we can go to for beginners using phone. Pardon me, for beginners using phone. Okay, we can copy that one as well. For beginners using phone, that's a strange search term, but people are typing it in. It has come up here, and the TubeBuddy suggested bar is also telling us that is a good search term. So let's just put that under smartphone photography, and that's a long tail keyword that we could then use. And let me just highlight that other long tail keyword that we had here. Alright, so people are searching for that as well in that particular form that we have a good chance of ranking for. So let's go and look at what are people looking for regarding photography. Let's just put that search in. Come on, YouTube, suggest me something. I'll just wait for this to load you quickly. Alright, so sometimes when you click here, it doesn't give you that similar related searches, so you'll have to then type in, put in the spacebar and look for the autofill instead. So we haven't got any other ideas in terms of we've got the different languages here and with specific cameras, but that's not something really that we're going to go look into right now. So let's go to another keyword salon and look at smartphone photography. Smartphone photography. So we've got mobile photography apps. That's a good a video idea. Mobile photography apps. People who are using smartphones may be interested in downloading the best apps to take better photos or to edit their photos. Mobile photography editing. So we can go with that as well. Mobile photography editing. And what else do we have here? Smartphone photography Indonesia. Mobile photography portrait. Okay, so mobile photography portrait. So to take better portrait photos by using your smartphone. Let's go and just put the space bar and look at what autofill gives us here. Smartphone photography tips and tricks. Smartphone photography. Oops, I cannot type very well today. Tips and tricks. And then we can go and look at what else we have. Pro mode, composition, hacks, and accessories. So let's go and just type in your pro mode, composition, hacks, and accessories. So smartphone photography. Let's just copy that. Pro mode, hacks, composition. Was there another one? Let's just go back there and have a look. We have, I think it was accessories. Yes, accessories. All right, so we've got a few different medium mid-tail keywords that we can then go and look look into and find some long tail keywords for some video ideas. So that alone, we've got at least 10 different video ideas under smartphone photography that we can then look for long tail keywords and what people are actually looking for. So let's just go back to photography tutorials, because YouTube might give us that suggested my keyboard has gone German for some reason. That's what happens when you buy a keyboard in Germany. It always tries to revert to the German language. Extremely frustrating when you're trying to type something and your Y becomes a Z. Tutorials. Okay, so let me just go into TubeBuddy to get some suggestions in terms of photography tutorials, because there must be more to it than just what we're getting here. Alright, so photography tutorials for beginners. What are they searching on the webs for beginners? Video topics, there's nothing giving us there. So we're running into a dead end over here on TubeBuddy, so let's go into Google. As I mentioned, we have so many different options that we can do some research with. We can look over here. We've got ISO aperture shutter speed. What else do we have here? Photography tutorials, photography life. Let's go to related searches here. Basics. Let's go and type in something like tutorials editing. Editing, what do we have here? Adobe Photoshop. Adobe Lightroom. Alright, so Lightroom is a photography editing tool. So photography tutorials, lighting. Lighting could also be a good option, but here we've got photography Lightroom tutorial. Alright, so let's take that and throw it in. Right, and lighting, let's go with photography lighting tutorial as well, because that is also something where you can provide some good value to the viewers and also make an interesting video, how to light your videos, your photos well. So Lightroom tutorial for portraiture. So let's go and type in that as well. Oops, Lightroom tutorial portrait. So how to edit portrait videos using Lightroom. Lightroom versus Photoshop. Lightroom wedding photo editing. Lightroom tutorial mobile. So we can add that in there as well. Lightroom tutorial mobile. Then we can go Lightroom versus Photoshop. Did I spell that right? Yes. Lightroom tutorial 2019. Let's go and have a look at that. Full tutorial for beginners. Alright, so we can see here that the search volume is good, but the competition is quite high. So unless we have a larger, a decent sized channel, maybe more difficult to rank. Although we can see here that we've got some channels with 4,000 subscribers, 3,000 subscribers. So even though the competition may seem high, we may have a decent chance of ranking here if we have a decent amount of subscribers and we have a very targeted channel around the specific topic. So if we add some more, if we have some more of these Lightroom videos already uploaded and we can get some viewers to those, then we have a good chance of ranking for this keyword as well, possibly. Let's just type that in again. Just go through that. It's a Adobe Lightroom tutorial. Let's look for a keyword here that may be a bit more, a mid-tail keyword that we can use to sort of get into this, that we can get into this specific, that we can get into this mid-tail keyword. So that over there is better. Adobe Lightroom CC tutorial. Okay, so that's a more specific one. We can see that the let's just go back there. We can see that the competition is lower, but the search volume is also lower because of that, which is good. The competition, that is. All right, so let's just go with, let's copy what I just searched for in there, and this would fall under Lightroom, just a general Lightroom tutorial, and highlight that. That's a decent search, a long tail search term that we can use. It's a mid to long tail search term. We can use then to rank for that more competitive search term. Right, because we can see that for this one alone here, we've got channels that are like this one over here was made 1 month ago, and there is 20,000 views with 140 subscribers only. So that's a video that we can target, and we should have a good chance of ranking for and getting views. Alright, so we've got 14,000 subscribers there and 18,000 views. So this is a good keyword that we can target. So we've got a few rough ideas here. We can continue going through these however we'd like. We can go back here to photography tutorials, and then we can go through things like, what else do we find here? Composition was an idea. We can look at what are people typing in here. So we've got rules, best photo composition rules, and then we have framing, photography tutorials, basics of composition, landscape photography composition. Let's just look at what are the basic videos ideas that we have by tutorials. So we have aperture and depth of field, photography tips I wish I knew earlier, and street photography, how to photograph the Milky Way. So night photography we have as well, star photography, astrophotography I mean, and some more street photography. Photography mistakes, of course, will be something that people are clicking on. We can see Peter McKinnon made this a year ago, so his subscriber count wasn't quite that high, so that's a good view number for that video. Alright, so let's go with beginner photography mistakes as well. That could be another beginner photography mistakes. That could be a term that we can go after later on. Alright, so we have some video ideas here and some keyword ideas. These are now some basic ideas, apart from these yellow ones, which are some search terms that we can try and rank for already that we found just by going through this basic YouTube keyword research. Okay, so we've got our head keywords, or the main topic of what we want to make some videos about, and we've gotten some keyword ideas from that. Now we can go back, and for each of these specific keywords we can go and look at what mid to long tail keywords people are looking for, and which ones get enough traffic for us to then make a video on that, and what mid to long tail keywords we can then use in our videos. Alright, so let's go with that. Photography for beginners. We can type it in here into the search bar on YouTube, and let's just look at how does this one fare. It's TubeBuddy score, so very competitive, but has a good search volume, but it's very competitive. So we can then go and look for some more for beginners, photography tips for beginners, and let's see if that gives us a better result. So still too much search volume for us. If we open up TubeBuddy here and we go to the Keyword Explorer, photography tips for beginners. Do we have any suggested tips here that they can suggest to us? Mobile, so we could always go photography tips for beginners mobile, and that doesn't have any competition really in terms of comparison to search volume. So we can take that, and that may not be the exact, well, we can put it over here as well. It's also photography tips for beginners, so that's mobile photography tips. And then let's just take that back a bit. These can also be back so we don't use too much space here. Right, let's go and look for another idea. Photography tips for beginners. So beginner photography. Beginner photography tips, composition, mistakes. Let's go look at mistakes. We have that other suggested search term below. So 10 beginner photography mistakes, 7 beginner photography mistakes to avoid, and 5 beginner photography mistakes. So let's open these up and see how these perform in terms of keyword research here. So that fits the bill. There's a lot of competition, but enough search volume for us to still appear in the suggested bar on these videos, and then maybe we can try and rank in there. So let's go and type that in here. Let me just get that back and then put that in. I want to have this a little bit more neat and tidy so I can see what we are doing when we do go through this eventually. So when we do want to make the videos, we want to be able to have a decent rationale of what is going on. So I just want to make these a little bit more easy to read. Alright, so we have our beginner photography mistakes, 10 beginner photography mistakes. Let's see if we can get some longer tailed keywords, plus how to fix. Right, so that is the exact search term here for Sawyer Hartman's video here. Let's see if people are searching for that particular keyword enough for us to also try and rank for it. Okay, so for that exact keyword, that's a bit too, with this plus here, it's a bit too specific. Maybe just fix. Okay, so fix does give us some corrections, but that's not a proper sentence. 10 beginner photography mistakes to avoid. Maybe we have to get rid of the 10 in the beginning of that. Right, so let me just get rid of the 10 there. Let's just go beginner photography mistakes to avoid. Search volume is high, but it's quite maybe too difficult to rank for that. So let's add a number and see where we are with that. So 7 is not the best. What about 5? 5 is fair, not quite what we want yet, but beginner photography mistakes to avoid. 5 beginner photography mistakes to avoid. 5 beginner landscape photography mistakes to avoid. So that's this exact keyword here. Now, landscape photography is not what we're looking for, but that would be a good search term if we wanted to do some landscape photography. But let's get rid of the landscape photography and then maybe type in something that we are looking for. Right, so beginner street photography mistakes to avoid. Okay, so that's just in the yellow, so that's something we can go after. Maybe get rid of the to avoid and see how competitive that is. Okay, that's not quite that. It's too competitive for us, but we have that mistakes to avoid, the street photography mistakes to avoid, that also fits the bill in terms of searchability, and we can rank for that. So let's go with that, and then we can go for street photography mistakes. What else do we get in terms of these? Okay, composition they're giving us here for some reason. That's too competitive. Let me refresh this page because composition mistakes for street photography. What about, let's go back to our keyword tool here and go back to photography for beginners. And we've gone through the photography for beginners section here. photography for beginners, and let's go and look at what we have here in the basics. We have best camera for beginners. So camera for beginners, photography. So we can talk about different types of cameras. So search volume, competition, that is an excellent search term. As you can see, this keyword isn't too competitive and has enough search volume to make it worth targeting. So we've gone back and we found ourselves a great keyword that we can then rank for in terms of mid-tail keyword with a good amount of search volume. And now we can look at some other things here. So 2019, we can maybe latch onto that. 2019, we can throw that in there as a... Okay, so let's just do that and then put a bracket there so that we know that this is our main search term. And then we can use we can add in 2019 and just go for this entire sentence here as a longer search term in order to help this our main search term rank. Alright, so we've got camera for beginners, photography. We can add here something like the best camera for beginners, photography 2019. That just about cuts it. So we can go and add a bracket there as well. So best camera for beginners, photography in 2019. So it's a nice long tail keyword that we can then use for that particular video. Right, so let's go and look at some photography hacks. We've got some good ideas in terms of this section. Next we can go up and look at photography hacks. So I've already searched for these, it seems. So we can see here photography ideas. Photography hacks with phone, photography hacks with camera. Let's go with camera. 10 camera hacks in less than 100 seconds, in less than 200 seconds. So that is something that was trending a while ago. But photography hacks with camera. So photography hacks with camera is something that has a good search, a good number of a decent amount of search volume and enough it doesn't have that too many competitors, so it is something that we can then go and target. Alright, so photography hacks with camera. What else do we have here? We have simple camera hacks. Let's go and type in simple camera hacks and see if we can get some search terms around that. So simple photography hacks. Let's look at simple photography hacks first, and then we can type in camera hacks. Right, so that one's not quite what we're looking for. Let's go with camera hacks. And that one is, okay, the competition there is just on the line, and search volume is decent. So we might go for something like, let's go and look at what are 10 simple camera hacks. Okay, so we can use a number here to try and get, or maybe in 2019, simple camera hacks in 2019. No, that's not quite the best, not quite what we're looking for. What are people searching for here related to this? Camera hacks, 5-minute craft, iPhone phone camera tips, tricks, camera tricks for videos, 6 simple photography hacks. Okay, well, we can 10 camera hacks, 7 simple photography hacks, 7 funny creative. Right, so this one's 970,000 subscribers. Let's just click on this video and see if it has a decent, if people are still watching this particular video. So now what I'll do is I'll minimize the TubeBuddy analytics, and I'll open up the VidIQ analytics here. And we can see that this video is currently getting 24.6 views per hour, which is 133.7 less than this video's average views. It is an older video. It was made 5 years ago, but because it has 7 million views, it seems like it is still getting views. And if we can then be recommended on this video, we can capitalize on these views per hour that they're getting here as well. So if 2 people per hour come over to our video, we'll be getting a couple of views at least in terms of that. So 24.6 times 20 times 24. Okay, so the video is getting 590 views a day. If we times it by 30, so it's getting about 17,000 views a month. It's still being watched, it's still being looked for. You can see that this suggested bar, they've got, it's not only their content that's being suggested here, so we may have a chance of appearing in the suggested bar if we can use similar keywords. So we'll go with 7 simple photography hacks. We can go with 10 simple camera hacks was the one, and then 7 simple photography hacks. Let's just look at the search terms for that one alone. If we can also then maybe appear. Alright, so we can see that this does get some search volume, or it does still get a lot of search volume, but there is a very competitive, it is very competitive. So we've got this Coop video with 7.6 million views, and this one here with 20 million views. So we might try and add some hacks, tips and tricks into our long tail keywords. So maybe something like hacks, tips and tricks, and let's see if we get anything on terms of that. So that's a very specific keyword that we're going after, the hacks and tips. Maybe we're trying now to find a keyword that might pop up in both of those Coop videos. Photography tricks, so I've got a lot of videos around the specific topic. Hacks and tips, that's also too specific. Hacks and tips. Right, so 7 simple photography hacks and tips. And that just about comes in there in order to try and help us rank for these other ones as well, and to give us that another little bit of a keyword that's similar to the other video. So let's just copy that 7 simple photography hacks and tips. We then need to come up with 7 photography hacks and tips, but if this is then in our niche, we should be able to do so, or do that. Alright, and now we had that simple, let's just get rid of that and then just go back here. 7 simple, I think it was camera hacks, no, photography hacks. It was the 10 simple camera hacks, and that had a decent search volume as well, so that's something we can go after as well. We've got this channel here which was made 2 years ago. We can go and look at how popular, or if that one's still getting views by, let's stop that, looking at VidIQ here. So there's not enough information here for it to give us its current views per hour, so it doesn't seem like it's getting that many views right now. But if we can find a new video in this section here. Okay, so we've got this one here that was made a year ago. We've got this one as well that was a year ago, and this one also a year ago. So these videos are still getting views, and we can still rank for them here. So let's go and take that as well. So we've got a fair amount of search volume and good competition. So if we optimize our video well, we can still rank for that particular keyword. Okay, so we've got 10 simple camera hacks, and we can go through all of these and come up with more keywords as we'd like to. Okay, so however many videos we want to come up with here, we can just continue going. This is sort of diving down the rabbit hole here of we typed in photography, and now we're looking for 10 simple camera hacks. We've gone a bit down the rabbit hole, and you can go further down the rabbit hole as you'd like. So let's continue here with street photography, and then so how to shoot street photography, law and ethics in street photography, why you shouldn't do street photography. So that's putting an opinion on you. So that's something that's creating curiosity. So this is a good video title example here in terms of a keyword. On street photography is the keyword, but this why you should not do street photography is putting an opinion onto the viewer, which will create curiosity, and that'll entice people to then click on that video and see, okay, well, why shouldn't I do street photography? Okay, so you could also do something like why you should do street photography. So let's go and look and see if that why you should do street photography. Okay, so that one appears at the top here because of the similarity in words, but okay, so this keyword in particular we can then use. All right, so if we're going to be for street photography, we can give some reasons as to what benefits you may get in terms of building up confidence and improving your on the street photography, working with light and that type of thing. We can then talk about street photography. Street photography for beginners. That's another thing. We're going to be having a lot of beginner videos on photography on our channel. We can also make a video on street photography for beginners, because that could then wrap around, but that does not seem to be something that people are looking for that much. We can see here Brendan Van Son, he's got a good amount of subscribers there, and he's got a lower view count for that video. So the do's and don'ts seem to be resonating well in terms of how to shoot street photography. Okay, let's look at that maybe. How to shoot street photography, street portraits. Okay, we can look at street portraits in a second. Okay, and this is sort of that rabbit hole I said. You can continue going and going and going. So that's not quite what we're looking for. Let's go and look at street portraits. Oops, I didn't type that correctly. How to do street photography. So how to shoot street portraits is a good search term. Competition's not too bad, but there's enough search volume for it to make a difference. All right, so let's go to where was that? Street photography, portrait photography. It can fall under either category. Let's just put it under street photography, and then look at what are people looking for in terms of portrait photography. Portrait photography, editing in Photoshop, lighting techniques. So again, we've got lighting, laws of lighting, 5 portrait lighting setups, and what is the search? Okay, so let's give it techniques and just type in lighting. Feel like maybe that is then something. Portrait photography lighting is something that people are searching for. So let's look for a medium to long tail keyword that we can then use here. So product photography lighting, portrait natural lighting techniques, photography natural lighting techniques. Now, as I spoke about the rabbit hole, we've gone down the rabbit hole here into a completely different topic, and that's just on the border. So that's something else that we can take and add that to our spreadsheet here, or our notes or video ideas. And let's just go back to portrait photography lighting, and then basics perhaps will give us basics, or for beginners. Okay, no, let's go with for beginners. That just covers it. That just about gets in there, but we can go and dive straight back in and look for a better keyword, or one that has a bit more search volume if we'd like, or less competition. I mean, that's good still, but let's go and look at your for beginner. So let's go portrait photography, 3-point lighting, studio photography, camera settings, natural lighting techniques. So portrait photography, how to do portrait photography. And we've got Jamie Windsor there again with another well-ranking video. Okay, so competition there is too high, or is not too high, but the search volume isn't high enough. How to do portrait photography. Portrait photography. Oh, why didn't I type in lighting tips? Okay, what is that? Okay, search volume is good, but lighting setup. Alright, so we're just going through these different suggestions still. So volume is alright, and competition is alright, but neither of them are there to make us want to, or none of them are in the yellow, so it doesn't quite fit that little criteria I set. Portrait photography, lighting. What else can we look for here? We can go for beginner's guide to portrait photography, perhaps. How to shoot portraits for beginners. Beginner's guide to portrait photography is a hit, it seems. So we've got enough search volume, and it's not too competitive, so that is a good one that we can add to our list. Oops. Alright, so we're just swapping and changing things here. How to shoot portraits for beginners, and then how to shoot portraits for beginners. How to take portraits for beginners is another one, so that's a bit too specific. How to take portraits for beginners. What do we get in terms of that? So that's another good video suggestion. I'm still looking for that lighting video though. I mean, this would also cover, we can also cover the lighting in this, how to take portraits, or the beginner's guide to portrait photography. What we can do, how to take portraits, how to light portraits for beginners, perhaps. And there we have a lighting one. Studio lighting for beginner photographers. How to light portraits for beginners. So that's a good long tail keyword that we can then just add in there. And we've got lighting involved. So lighting for portrait photography, we can then include as a LSI keyword, or a similar keyword then in our description, in our video, where we're talking about, we might even make it something like how to light portraits for beginners. Then we can have here something like lighting portrait photography, lighting techniques. Or was that not competitive, that search term? Let's just go back and look at that. All right, so that wasn't it was too competitive for the search volume. We can make it lighting tips, or we can then use something that had a good amount of search volume, but this is our main keyword that we're trying to rank for, or that we're going to be using our long tail keyword, and then that can then jump onto this portrait photography lighting guide. Let's just go with guide. All right, so we can then maybe get into portrait photography and portrait photography lighting as some more competitive keywords in this specific video when we try and rank for that, or when we create that particular video. All right, so that's in terms of coming up here with some good keyword, some good long tail keywords for videos. You can see we've found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So 20, give or take, videos, and we haven't gone through all of these other keywords that we've come up with. Okay, we don't have to go into that right now because we'll just be doing what I've done here. The other tools that we can use is we can go to something like Google Trends. All right, and Google Trends, and then we can type in here Sony A7 Mark II and see if it's still being searched for. We can see it's on the decline, but because it's still being searched for, it's not quite at its peak. I can see here it was at its most popular last year around the Black Friday special, where the phone was on special, and it'll probably go on special again this year. As you can see my date here, it's the 7th of November when I'm recording this. So now would be a great time to maybe make a video regarding the Sony A7 Mark II, just taking a gamble on whether that will go on special then for Black Friday. You can see here there's the popularity of this as being relatively constant, so it would actually be a decent video to make, and then we can take a gamble by making a video right now in the next few days if we'd like to target a specific keyword in anticipation that people will be looking for this video during Black Friday. All right, so we can use the Google Trends here to try and anticipate and see how popular certain keywords are, if they're still worth going after. So this could then be something we can make a video about in the coming days. What we can also do is go back to our document here, and we can look at some of these keywords and see if people are still looking for these particular keywords. So let's go with beginner photography mistakes. See how popular that is. Beginner photography mistakes. Okay, so that's in the web search. We want to go to look at YouTube. That's still not quite there, so let's go with photography mistakes. Or people, if we can get some information here from Google Trends. Right, so you can see there's some spikes here, so this would most likely be from when people have made particular videos on this topic. But there has been an interest in this that has grown. Let's make this worldwide. All right, so there's a constant, there's still quite a consistent viewing of this particular search term. You can see there were some jumps there, but worldwide it's quite consistent. There are some months and days or weeks where the search term is a bit more searched than others, but you can see these spikes are generally around the same height here in terms of photography mistakes. So people are still looking for this, and people are still looking for videos regarding that. If we go for something like the iPhone, if we type in something like the iPhone 7, we can see that it's been, okay, that's quite consistent here still. But let's look at the last 5 years when it was released. So we can see here that people have been looking for it in anticipation, and then there might have been some leaks, and then it was released most likely on this week here. So there's a big spike in interest, and then it slowly died down the few months thereafter. And then as a new phone was most likely here released, it died down a bit further, and now it's sort of plateaued here on not quite as interesting as, for example, how the iPhone 11 may appear if we look into the search results here. So you can see that peaked already, but people are still looking for it. And we are coming to Black Friday specials now, so that could also be something that people may be interested in looking into. Let's just go and look at the iPhone 10 and see if it had a bit of a smaller peak last year around November, the past 12 months. Okay, so in terms of last year by Black Friday, there was not really a peak. There was a small increase in interest, but not enough for it to be substantiated. You can see that there was some more interest here when the iPhone 11 was released. So that could just have been sort of piggybacking off of the iPhone 11's current interest. So people comparing the iPhone 10 to the iPhone 11. Now we can continue typing through any different search terms here to see if it's still relevant in terms of if people are looking for them still. But what we can also do is head over to the YouTube Keyword Planner. And Google Keyword Planner. Pardon me. I was wondering why nothing came up. The Google Keyword Planner. So Google Ads here. Just log in here. My screen's currently in German, but it'll change back to English. Unlike my keyboard, I have a control over this at least. So let's go discover new keywords. If you log in and you don't see this page, to get to the keyword planner, you want to go to your tools and settings, and you'll find it over here under planning. So keyword planner, and then it brings you to this page. You can see I haven't even put in my payment information here because I don't run Google Ads currently. The keyword planner is a free tool if you sign up for a Google Ads account. So let's just go with discover new keywords. And I want to make this worldwide because I'm not looking for, or let's go with the United States or the United Kingdom, just to languages. I'm selecting a language, so English first, and then we can change the location to the United Kingdom. Let's go with the United Kingdom. So it tells us what the target market there is. We can also go worldwide by just removing this, and now it'll target all locations, but we can just go and look at what are people searching for in the United Kingdom if that's our main target market, for example. So let's go to smartphone photography and let's look at mobile photography apps. Maybe we can find some specific apps that people in the United Kingdom are looking for, or similar keywords around mobile photography apps. So best photo editor for Android. Competition's low, there's a decent amount of searches. Now these are on Google, so this is some good information, some good keywords you can find here, but we want to then also take these keywords and then maybe throw them into YouTube here. Best photo editor for Android. We can look at the keyword score. So we've got some great keyword scores here. We'll take that, throw that into our document here, paste it in, highlight it because that's a long tail keyword we can use. We can then also maybe add something here like 2019. Look at the keyword score for that, and that's a very good keyword score, so we'll take that and then just type in here in 2019 in brackets so we know that we should put that date in there, so people because people are looking for more current information. Now what we can also do is this keyword that we just copied here, we can go into Google and we can look here and see if a video appears. So we have a video that's not at the top, so it's not the best that it could be, but we have some videos that appear in the search results, so we may get some views from Google in terms of this traffic, because this is the monthly Google traffic, not YouTube traffic. So people have been searching for this specific search term 100 to 1,000 times per month on average, and there's not much competition, so you can have a good chance of ranking for that particular search term. Alright, if we go and look for some more of these, we can look if they're decreasing in terms of monthly searches, it seems. So I'm going through these, I'm just looking at monthly searches to see if there's something here with a higher search volume, but there doesn't seem to be. Let's go with and change this specific keyword to photography apps. Right, let's see if we can get some monthly searches that are a bit higher. Generally 100 to 1,000 is a good search volume to actually go after though, so that would be a good amount of search volume to try and target. So videos appear in this specific keyword as well, and we can then also maybe target that as best photo editor for Android. So we can make another one talking about different apps, and we can look through best photo editing app, possibly best photo editing app. Oops, let me just try and select that, and then let's go into into YouTube. Let's look for the keyword scores here, and these are very popular, but the competition is insane. And then we can try and maybe look for a longer tail keyword that we can then rank for. Again, competition is very high. Add ourselves a date to that, and that's something we can then use. So best photo editing app for Android. 2019. Let's go with in 2019. Give us a similar keyword score. Okay, so in 2019 will give us a more specific date, so we can consider keeping the in there or removing the in. We've included in a few of our other videos, so we could actually just include the in 2019 as well. So best photo editing app for Android. Best photo editor for Android, photo editing app for Android. So these may be similar videos. We might try and look for, let's go with iPhone maybe then and see if that gives us a similar keyword score. So there's enough competition and search volume for us here. And with 2019, we've got a good possibility of ranking for that then as well. So we can go for that longer tail keyword in there then as well. So let's go and highlight that and then just add this 2019 so that we know our main keyword is best photo editing app for iPhone, but we're going to use the longer tail keyword here in order to try and rank for this slightly more competitive search term. All right, so let's go look quickly if we can change this to apps, best photo editing apps for iPhone 2019, and then best free photo editing apps for iPhone. What do we get in terms of that? And again, we've got, and this is another great search term that we can use in terms of mobile photography. All right, and let's go and look onto Google and see if someone types this into Google, if videos will appear for this particular search result, and they do. So we can then also capitalize with this particular keyword in Google search results as well. All right, so that's where the keyword planner comes in. We can look at where we can find keywords that show videos as well that have search volume. So best photo editing app would be the keyword that we're targeting in that particular video. And I think if we look at that exact keyword, will there be any? Okay, so there's no apps for iPhone. I think that one was what we searched for now. Okay, so that's best photo editing apps for iPhone. What did I type in? Best free photo, best free photo editing apps for iPhone. So let's just go with best free photo editing apps and see if any videos appear. They don't. So let's go with for iPhone, and I think the videos should appear still. So for that particular search term, videos do appear. So we want to go and target that exact long tail keyword in our title of our video and in our descriptions, in our tags, etc, etc, etc. All right, so that is sort of how you want to get going with your YouTube keyword research. Okay, you can go and you can do as much keyword research as you'd like. You can come up with a variety of different ideas. What you want to do once you've gotten as many video ideas as you require, as you may feel that you need or you want. Once you're satisfied, I'd recommend then going through your videos and then sorting them or looking at which ones are the most urgent, and those are the ones that you want to create first. Because, and what I mean by urgent is ones that may have a bit of an expiry date. So something like for portrait photography lighting for beginners. And this is something that people may be searching for in the next 3, 4, 5 years still. All right, so this is something that people will generally always be interested in. It might be popular at a certain time, but people will generally always be searching for how to take portraits for beginners. So there will always be new people in photography that want to know how to take better portraits. And the same goes for street portraits or street photography. Why you should do street photography, that might be something more relevant to popularity. So if we go to street photography, if we go then to Google Trends, just type in Google Trends here, and if we look at street photography in the United States, so that has maintained its popularity If we look at YouTube search, we can see that it's gotten some more spikes recently, but it's still quite, popularity has been maintained. If we look at the last 5 years, okay, we can just stop over here because there was an algorithm change in YouTube, so the results may look a bit different. You can see another algorithm change here, so that may be what's resulting in these spikes. So now may actually be a good time to go after street photography. So it may be increasing in popularity due to this algorithm change, and we can then try and capitalize on that. So we can see it's gaining, or it's peaking a lot more than in previous months. So year before, last year, or the beginning of the year in around April, March, it was only getting about 20% of the compared to its most popular time period, whereas in June it had periods of up to 57% of its most popular time period, and in this past week it had up to 36% of its most popular period. And if we look at the last 12 months, that is about 67% of the last year for its most popular time period. Okay, so we can see that it's still, we may want to then try and target this right now while it's still popular. Okay, that may be based on the algorithm or just the general trend that we can't quite distinguish enough from the starter, but we can see that people are looking for it right now, so we would want to make those videos now before it might die down. Something like the Sony A7, so products, that's where you might find some more urgency in terms of making a video. All right, so the A7, as I mentioned, if we look at the A7, you can see that last year in November there was peak interest because of the Black Friday special, and as I said, now in a few weeks there will be most likely another A7 Mark II Black Friday special, or A7 Mark III Black Friday special possibly. So we might want to make a video on the A7 versus the A3, the A7 Mark III, or two separate videos on the A7 and on the A7 Mark III. Even if we don't have the A7 Mark III, we can then still talk about that in order to try and capitalize on those views that may then happen during the Black Friday special. Alright, so you can see now the interest may have dropped slightly down, but it may pick up now in the next few weeks because of a possible special arriving at the end of the month. Okay, and we can see over here there may have also been a special or something that happened in the middle here during May that caused a sharp incline here, more sales of this particular device. I think actually this was the release of the A7 Mark IV or the R4, which then had people comparing this particular camera, or the A7 Mark III or the A7 R2, to that new model. So like the iPhone, when a new model of cameras released, people will be interested in how it performs to older cameras. So if something's being released soon that can be compared to your device, then it'll also be something that have some urgency, something that you'd want to then make a video about immediately, or you want to prioritize it sooner, because this evergreen content, this type of things, you can make it a later date and it'll still have interest because the interest is constant. Alright, so that is pretty much the end of this video. Last thing that I want to say, and that's just what I touched on at the beginning, is you may want to make a folder or open up a file in Google Docs, or on a mobile word sheet or notepad or something like that you can then maybe take some notes if you're on the go, if you get an idea whilst you're in the bus or whilst you're having lunch or out taking a walk. You can just jot something down on your phone quickly, a quick idea that you can then research later on when you get home. And then you can also have that linked with your account. So I could then go into Google here and I could open up a Google Doc and I can see all of the things that I've saved on my phone, and then I can do the keyword research on a laptop or a device that is a bit more easier to search through things a bit quicker. So I prefer to do research here on a laptop, but you may want to do your research on a mobile device or a tablet or a normal computer, but that preference is up to you. What I recommend though is having a document that you can keep with you, even a notepad or a piece of paper that you'll keep in your pocket if any ideas come to you, or just save a voice note on your smartphone if that's something you'd prefer to do. And yeah, I just recommend keeping options open so that if any ideas do come to you whilst you're out and about, you can keep taking note of that, and then you won't forget them, because I can't tell you how frustrating that is when you forget what you think may be a great idea, and then you spend days and days thinking about it and you can't actually come up with it, and then you find someone on YouTube has made that exact video that you were looking to make, that you had that brilliant idea for. So that is very frustrating. I don't want you to experience that. Bring something to take notes with you wherever you go. So smartphone, great idea, great tool. Use it as best as you can. Alright, so that is it for this YouTube keyword research lesson. I'm going to see you in the next lesson. Ciao.